Have you ever caught yourself staring at your shelves and then just simply walking away while you're not alone? Styling shelves can be weirdly overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. That's why in this video, I'm going to give you simple, real world tips that you can use today in your home to fix those shelves. No perfection, no overthinking, just a method that actually works. Hi guys, I'm Louie. I'm an architect and interior designer. I have over 20 years of experience in the design industry, and welcome to the Interiorist, where we talk about practical, smart, functional interiors. And if you like stylish interiors and good advice, then this is the place for you. Go ahead and hit subscribe. And now let's go fix those shelves. Step number one is very important. Do not skip it. I know you're in a hurry to start styling, but we're going to wait just a second because first we're going to take all of the books down. Yes, all of the books, all of the decor. And I know you're looking at things and you're like, oh, but I want that. I like it there. It'll go back. Don't worry. Right now, just bring it down because what we want is to see your space in an entirely new light. We need to look at it like a blank canvas. And since you pulled everything off the shelves, go ahead and clean everything up. Wipe down your shelves, wipe down your books, get rid of the dust because clean is halfway to chic. Step number two is to sort all your items. So this is the moment where you run around your house and you grab all your books, you put them in a pile, and let's start by sorting the books, all right? You want to sort them by author and topic first because that'll just kind of make everything easier for you to organize when you put them onto your shelves. Next, you're going to go through your decor. That means any baskets, frames, small artwork, just interesting sculptural objects. You're going to grab all that stuff and you're going to bring them together. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to kind of make them into groups. So you're going to put all your decor together, you're going to put all your vases together, all your picture frames together, all your smart artwork together, so that you have a very clear palette before you start painting on that beautiful canvas that you just wiped down. So go ahead and organize everything because when we start putting them back up, the organization is going to be key. So now you've done running around your house. You have all your beautiful piles of book by topic and author. You've got all your decor organized into separate piles. And you look around and you start to think, maybe something's missing, and you get that urge to run to the store and get yourself something fabulous. Well, before you do that, let's talk about where you can save and where you can splurge. If you're willing to splurge, go ahead and get yourself like a wow factor piece, something that's gorgeous and sculptural, that'll look great on your shelves. Maybe you need a specific material, color, or texture. Well, that's where you go ahead and make that investment. Now, remember, you don't need to go out and buy a ton of things. 2 is fine, 1 is great, and none is great too if you don't have the budget, because there are so many places that you can find cool decor without having to spend a ton of money. So just don't put that kind of pressure on yourself, okay? Taste is infinitely more important than a price tag. Where you're gonna save is maybe on your bookends or all those little bits and bobs that you wanna put on to decorate. You don't need a ton of stuff on your shelves to make them look great. So go ahead and visit a local thrift shop, have a look at Facebook Marketplace. Well, maybe not Facebook Marketplace, but marketplaces online. And I'm sure you can find something cool where you don't have to spend a lot and you don't get that guilty, what did I just do feeling. Step number 3 is actually the rule of thirds. So 3 and 3, that'll keep it easy to remember. And what you want to do is look at your shelves and divide them into 3. So you're going to have your left, your center, and your right. And this imaginary little grid will do wonders to add structure and kind of just keep things collected and organized and easier to place, as opposed to having everything just crammed in the middle, which is what you have if you're not thinking about the balance of each shelf individually. So when you do apply this, remember that this trick will take you from chaotic and cluttered to curated and chic. Step number 4 is we're going to start with the books. And remember, by now you have already separated your books by author and topic, so keep that in mind. What I like to do is I like to start with the chunkier, bigger books because I find that they're going to be the more grounding pieces on your shelves and they are the heavier pieces. So that's what you want to start with. So go ahead and scatter them through your shelves. Remember to place them at different heights. Remember to create space for them in the rule of thirds. So you're going to look at your 3 spaces and you're going to choose one and that's where it's going to go. And what you want is to just kind of have them scattered in a balanced way throughout your bookshelves. Next, what you're going to do is come in with the smaller books, and a quick tip is to organize them on a table or something before you put them on the shelf. That way you can have the spine heights right. You can try and get your colors more harmonious and organized. But remember, don't focus on that too much. I don't think it's very appealing when you see those shelves and it's got all my pink books in a row, all my blue books in a row, all my green books in a row. Don't worry about that kind of thing. The books will look lovely. You don't have to have them all matchy in color. So go ahead, grab the smaller books, organize them on a table first if it makes it easier for you, and start putting them in between your bigger, chunkier books. And remember, you don't have to fill up all the space on your shelf. You want to preserve a little breathing room and that ever elusive and magnificent negative space. So now that you're putting all your books up on the shelf, you want to consider different ways to stack them. And ideally, you will use all 3 different ways on your bookshelves so that it doesn't look stale and repetitive, right? One way you can do it is to stack them horizontally. So you're going to grab your chunkier books, the ones with gorgeous graphic spines and colors, and you're going to pile them on top of each other, kind of like what I did right here. So you see they have very clear text, they have all this graphic illustration. So I use them to stack because I think that they look better that way. The other way you can do it is to stack them vertically, which is what you see in a library or on most bookshelves. And this is great to optimize space. And it is also very useful to find and pull things out. So if you know that you're going to be using the book a lot, or it's a book that you always come back to, like maybe a cooking book or a textbook that you need for work or something, that's the one that you're going to want to put vertically because you want to be able to pull it out, pop it back in, find it quickly, and actually function really well. And I forgot to say, when you do this kind of stacking method, what you want to do is leave breathing space around it. So you don't want to put that in the middle and then all these books vertically next to it. Just leave them stacked like a nice, neat little pile. And I'll tell you what you're going to do with that later in a second. And the third way you can put them on your shelves is to kind of just tilt them, which is nice because it gives you this unpretentious and lived in look, which is kind of, cozy and cool. And it doesn't keep your shelf looking too much like a catalog where everything is just so neat that nobody's ever touched any of those books before. So if you need to fill up a little bit more space and you don't have a lot of books, that's another way that you could use this method to just kind of fill it up, but it looks cute and it's not so stuffy. Here's a quick tip for a problem that I see every now and then, which is you have a lot more books than you have shelves. And that happens because not everyone has a ton of shelves to put all of their collection up. So what you might want to do in that case is just rotate and refresh. So I made that up right now, but I think it works, so stick with me. Here's my plan. Take some of your books, put them away safely in a dry, clean space so that they're well preserved and away from sunlight and dust and all the other things that the books on the shelves will be getting. So that way you are actually taking care of them. And what you can do is rotate them seasonally like you would with maybe artwork or decor. If it's Halloween, maybe you want to pull out all those spooky mysteries because you want to have fun, reading through them during that season. Or if it's near Christmas and the holidays, you want to pull out all of your cooking books because family's going to be over and you guys are going to be making all kinds of cookies and cakes, and that's when you're going to need and use them the most. Think of them as something that can kind of pop up in your life every now and then. You don't have to have them all out, and that way you can keep your shelves looking beautiful, you can protect some of your books, and you don't have that feeling of overwhelming clutter on the bookshelf, which nobody likes. Some people ask me, what do I do if I don't have enough books? Because in the Kindle age, I myself, I have so many books in digital form that sometimes I don't have the actual pieces. Well, my tip to you is maybe invest in the books because to me personally, I love having the physical copy. Even though it's not always practical to travel around or have on you all the time, I like reading on my phone or my tablet because that way I can just read wherever I am. The book's always with me. But there's just something kind of romantic and beautiful about having a book and being able to look at it and flip through the pages. So if you're interested in that, have a look at the favorite books that you have on your Kindle and buy a couple to put up so that you can remember them and see them often. I think that's a sweet thing to do. So now that you've learned how to put everything up on your bookshelf, what you want to do to keep all your stacks looking clean and tidy is to use bookends. And if you don't have them, don't stress. Go ahead and find something in your house that is heavy and looks nice and sculptural. Maybe a paperweight, maybe a heavier picture frame, just whatever you can find to just kind of help keep the books in place, and that'll do just fine. And remember, you guys, this is not a library. This is not a photo shoot. It's just your home. So don't stress about it. Have fun. And you can always fix things later. So if something doesn't look quite right just now, you can change it. Don't worry. It's not forever. You're going to buy new books. You're going to buy new decor, and it'll be always changing. What's important is to remember the rules so that you know how to put everything up in a harmonious and easy way. Moving on to step number 4, this is when we bring in the big decor. And by big decor, I mean the larger vases, the tall candlesticks, the small artwork, all the bigger things that are going to go on your shelves that aren't books. So remember what we did with the books? We started with the chunky ones and started stacking them so that we got the heavier stuff up first. And that way we started filling up the space. Well, we're going to do the same thing with your decor. What I like to do is start layering them from back to front because I feel like that kind of just gives me all this visual interest going on the shelf. And remember your rule of thirds. So if you have your books on one third, maybe you want to go ahead and put a big vase on the other third or in the center. But that way you start putting things up and remembering these rules as you go so that it doesn't look cluttered, it looks intentional, and it looks organized and harmonious. One thing I heard a lot from my professors when I was studying architecture, and I think this is a very good tip for lots of things really, is that whenever you do a project, and sometimes you have these huge projects. Now, I studied architecture and urbanism, so with urbanism, it was particularly difficult because of the scale. And what they would tell me is always go from macro to micro, because otherwise you just kind of get lost in the overwhelm of it all. There's just so much information, so much stuff that you have to sort out. And with projects, so much stuff that you have to explain and think and develop. So the same kind of idea that's applied to these huge urban projects can be applied to your little bookshelf. We're always going to start with the bigger, heavier, more grounded, chunkier pieces, and then we're going to get to the small little bits and bobs that are just like kind of the sprinkles on top. So what you need to do when you start putting up all of your big decor is maybe think about how you want to do it. So with artwork, what you can do is lean it up against the wall and you can put it behind a little stack of books or next to one, and it just gives it a little bit of dimension and makes it look cool and unpretentious. Another way you can go about hanging artwork on your shelves is to just literally hang it. So within the shelf frame, just hang it against the wall, and that way you can put a little object underneath or just kind of frame it in there within the shelf. It looks really cute. Another option, if you have outlets nearby, this is great to do, is to put in a lamp. You can put a lamp in, it'll like light up your books, it'll add more light layers to your room. And if you have space, you can always leave an open book on a pedestal, which is so cute, with a little lamp on top, and it looks adorable. So those are some ideas that you can use for your big pieces. With vases, maybe you want to leave them on your own with nothing behind or too close by so that you can see that beautiful sculptural shape. Basically, what you're going to do is just going to add them on. And remember, you don't have to fill everything up because we still have all the little pieces of decor that are going to come too. So keep it clean, put on what's important and what's not, leave it for another day. Remember I said I would explain why we were stacking those books in the beginning? Well, here's why. When you make those chunky little stacks of books, what you're actually creating is a beautiful little pedestal for your accent pieces, right? Like right here, okay? Again, this is what I did. I put these up so that I had some place to put these little cups with all my tools in them. That way they get like a little spotlight, a little purpose, and these are just a couple of cups. But when you have something that is super sculptural, it really stands out. It brings a whole new dimension to the space, and it kind of just makes it look really luxe. Don't worry about when you have those stacks. That's why I say you don't have to take the stacks all the way up. Keep them low. Keep them low or never past halfway the height of your shelf, because we're going to come in with something and we're going to just pop it right on top and it'll look gorgeous. Now, when you're putting everything up, extra credit goes to those of you who consider scale, texture, and color, because what you want is to keep it interesting. I say it all the time, so you want to mix it up. If you have wood shelves, then you don't want to use wood frames on your artwork that are going to go on the shelves. You maybe want to use something that's metal or use an acrylic frame. That way it kind of clashes in a cool way. And if you have these beautiful, maybe glossy book covers stacked together, put on a matte ceramic piece on top. And that way you keep things cool and you keep things interesting. So go ahead and mix it all up, because it's where the fun stuff happens. Now we're moving on to step number 6, and this is where you just style. So this is one of the fun parts. You grab all your little stuff and you're going to add it in with your books that are already up. Your large decor pieces are already up. So this is when you come in with the little stuff and spread it around to give it just that extra bit of flavor. One nice trick when it comes to the little stuff is to grab trays, bowls, baskets, boxes, all of these cute things that you can put on your shelves and use them to hide away all the little things that you maybe don't want to display, like the ugly stuff like remotes, chargers, but you you need these things. So you put them into your little box, and that way you can put it on the shelf and they're there. They're practical when you need them, they're accessible, but they're not spoiling the overall feel of the room. Some people have collections, and that can get a little tricky when you're styling your shelves. So if you have a large collection, something that you've been working on for a while, it might get a little too cluttered if you put them up with the books and the decor and all that. So maybe you want to consider having a specific dedicated area for your collection. After all, you've spent so much time working on it, it might as well be displayed in a beautiful way that highlights your pieces. But if you have smaller collections, like maybe a few toy art pieces, some vintage cameras, or just travel trinkets from, globe trotting, what you want to do is group them together so you can create visual impact. So for example, if you have like some old cameras, maybe you want to get 2 or 3 of them and put them on a little pedestal like this. And then maybe on another shelf, you'll put another 1 or another 2 more and spread them out, but kind of grouping them together so that you have all these moments of interest. And that way your eye is going to travel. It's going to go from one to another, and it's just going to explore your beautiful shelves and take in the visual feast that you're giving it. And finally, I'm going to say this one more time because I promise you, you can't hear it enough. Mix those textures, mix those styles, mix those heights. We want it to be interesting. We want it to be fun, tactile, layered, and we want someone to pop into our house and be like, oh, wow, I love your shelves. That's what we want, okay? So be brave. Go ahead and mix it up, because in the next step, you can always fix it. Step number 7 is my absolute favorite. This is when you get to step back and just have a good look at what you've done, because that's when you find out if things are imbalanced, if they're not working, or if they are working. So you're going to try and edit your shelves like a stylist. That means you're going to declutter, because if it looks cluttered, that means it probably is. You're going to take one thing off. You're going to put another thing on. You're going to move something. You're going to look at one third. You're going to look, wow, that third looks amazing. How can I replicate that all the way over there? And you're going to find out what works and what doesn't. And you're just going to tweak until it gets the way you want it to be. Now, remember, I've already given you all the guides, all the rules and steps to make it, functional and easy and practical to do this, but there really is no rhyme or reason, guys. It's just your space. So do whatever feels good for you. If you step back and you don't think it looks good, just tweak it. Move it around. And remember, you always have time to work on it. So if you're not sure about something, just sleep on it. Have a look at it the next day. Have a look at it in a new light. And you're going to see it take so many different shapes. And that'll help you decide whether or not it's working for you or not. But I promise you, if you followed my step-by-step, you will have gotten it right. It will be looking good. It's just a question of making it perfect for you. While you take your step back and you're having that good old look and you're thinking about how you're going to edit your space, let's consider some of the biggest styling mistakes that I see a lot of the time so that you can avoid them yourself. The first one, and I've mentioned this ahead in the video, is that you don't want to pack everything in. You don't need your shelf completely taken up. And I think this happens a lot of times because people have more books than shelves, and that's when you use the rotate and refresh tactic that I spoke about earlier. Make sure you only leave up what you need, and what you don't need stays stored safely. The other mistake I see all the time is to keep everything in the same height. So let's say you have a row of books. You've got a nice little collection of books, and then at the end you've got a little space and you need to put a little object in there. So you go ahead and you put a picture frame, but the picture frame is the exact same height as the books. That's exactly what you don't want. You want it to go bigger, so higher, or lower, but never the same height, because that's how we get that stale blah feeling that I spoke about earlier. You want visual interest, so you want different heights, different layers, and that's how you're going to create it. So just remember, if your books are yay high, then your object's going to be here or here. Another common mistake, and maybe one that is a little harder to pick up on, is the absence of grounded pieces. So when we talk about grounded pieces, we basically just mean like something heavier, something in a larger scale, something that pulls everything together. So if you have everything in more or less the same scale or weight, it's going to look flat, it's going to look boring. And again, we never want that. We want interesting. So go ahead, find those bigger pieces, those chunkier pieces. Maybe they're books, maybe they're large decor objects, and display them wisely throughout your space so that you have these moments of weight. And last but definitely not least, symmetry is great, but doing it over and over and over and over again makes it what? repetitive, and that's what we don't want. So consider asymmetry as well. You might want to have some symmetric shelves, but don't forget that you can have asymmetry going from one shelf to another. So what you can do is, for example, if you have two shelves, one on top of the other, and you have your large weighted object on the right top side, and then you want to go to the bottom shelf and put a large weighted object on the bottom left side. That way, diagonally, you have this balance and you have the function and clarity that you get with symmetry, but with a little bit more visual interest. So go ahead, play with asymmetry. Not that you have to forget about symmetry completely. It totally has its space in the home. I love it. But every now and then you want to just break it up a little, and that's where a little bit of the fun happens. So there you go. You have beautiful curated shelves that tell a story and feel lived in. And the best part is it tells your story. So congratulations. I believed in you all along. And go ahead, sit back, grab a book, and just enjoy it. And if you need more help putting together your home or your space, I have the best resources. It is over 30 pages long. It is our home checklist, and it goes room by room where I describe all the different items that you need in those spaces. And we also have helpful guides and schematics for like rug sizes, table sizes, and just a bunch of professional tips that can help you decorate your home without feeling overwhelming and just making the whole thing fun and exciting. So go ahead and grab it in the link below. I promise you, you will not regret it. And guys, thank you so much for sticking with me. I had the best time, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.